Nancy Pelosi speaks gibberish following the vote to impeach President Trump. A dude files a lawsuit to compete in the Miss USA pageant, and the Democrat presidential candidates debate in Los Angeles. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week. We've got a lot to cover. Christmas is just around the corner, so I want to tell you about my friends over at Bottle Breacher. They are running a Christmas special. You need to check them out. This is what you need for stocking stuffers, for groomsmen gifts, for all kinds of items. It is just an awesome company, veteran-owned, American-made products. Just go to bottlebreacher.com, use coupon code BOBBY13-SANTA for $15 off your next purchase over $50. That's bottlebreacher.com, coupon code BOBBY13-SANTA. All right, I want to give you an update on impeachment because that was the big deal this week. It was historic, this vote, and we're going to get into some of the details in a second. But Wednesday night, the House of Representatives got together and they voted. They voted to impeach President Trump. And it was sad and it was historic and unprecedented in many ways. And I want to go over those because if you recall, back in March, Nancy Pelosi said that the Democrats would not pursue impeachment unless it was compelling, overwhelming, and bipartisan. So the first historic and unprecedented is that they pursued it and it was not bipartisan. In this vote, not a single Republican voted for impeachment. In fact, you had a couple Democrats come over and vote against it as well. That's never happened. In the cases of President Andrew Johnson and President Bill Clinton, you had people from both parties go opposite ways on the votes, not vote with the so-called party line at the time. This is unprecedented. Nancy Pelosi said she wouldn't do it. She pursued it anyway. The other thing that's unprecedented is in those other two impeachment cases, the presidents were charged with actual crimes. President Johnson was charged with the crime of violating the Tenure of Office Act. President Bill Clinton was charged with perjury. With President Trump, they talked about bribery. They talked about quid pro quo. They talked about corruption. None of those things ended up in the impeachment charges, the official articles of impeachment. None of them. It was all just that they didn't like the way he does business, so we're going to charge him with abuse of power and obstructing Congress, vague things that violate no criminal statutes. This is what they rushed this impeachment on. So again, unprecedented and historic. So what happens now? They held this vote, and now the articles of impeachment are done, and they're supposed to send them over to the Senate, and Nancy Pelosi is holding on to them. She's not forwarding them, which just shows the predicament, the dilemma that they're in, because they thought impeachment, just like with Mueller and Russia collusion, just like Hillary Clinton, they thought that whatever stage they were at, that was going to do the trick. Well, guess what? Impeachment didn't. And now they're stuck. They rushed this through, the fastest impeachment in the history of the country. And now she wants to stop and hold back because they know that they messed up politically and they're trying to figure out what to do next. So yesterday, she held a press conference and she was asked this question.
Do you run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long?
All right, so that's the question. But listen to this response, just listen to yourself at this gibberish, okay?
When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, whatever you want to call it.
What?
I don't understand the words you just said.
That made absolutely no sense. And House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy, in his press conference following that, he took some jabs at Speaker Pelosi because that press conference was just ridiculous. She mumbled, she stuttered, spoke gibberish, and she was testy in addressing questions about impeachment. Yet that was the historic, momentous event that happened this week. And here's what Kevin McCarthy said.
She's so embarrassed by it, she won't even send the papers over. She's so embarrassed by that, she won't even take your questions. Why will she release the papers? I never thought I'd see a speaker take that position.
Just so strange. Yes, she didn't take questions because she had a problem forming basic sentences. It was just the weirdest thing. So next, I want to talk to you about the Democrat debate. No, I didn't watch it live. I was actually at the premiere of Star Wars last night. So I did watch it later, and it's brutal. It just never changes. The field has shrunk, but it's the same old, just left wing. I mean, this is CNN and Politico asking the questions, and it just, the sponsors of the debate. And it was just the worst hearing all of this stuff. I mean, just a sampling, just to let you know, Joe Biden was talking about Green New Deal type things. And he actually said that he'd be willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of jobs in the oil and gas industry, blue collar jobs, sacrifice those jobs to pursue green tech. He would force those people out of work to pursue that agenda. Okay. Next, you have moderator Judy Woodruff. She couldn't tell the difference between Tom Steyer, who's white, and Andrew Yang, who's Asian. She addressed Steyer as Yang, and Yang said, "Hey, hold on, I'm over here." And then Pete Buttigieg apparently had some fancy fundraiser out in Napa Valley in California, and he gets slammed for saying he's having a fundraiser at a wine cave. This is the level of Democrat debate. This is the kind of things they talk about. So just to share one clip to show you that it's business as usual, here is Tom Steyer talking about immigration and bringing up the same old stuff that the Democrats throw against President Trump and conservatives. Check this out.
I think it's important to note that this president is not against immigration. He's against immigration by non-white people.
See, you can see where this is going. It's just the same old Democrat tactics. They can't debate, so they call names. They try and vilify. They try and marginalize their opponent to make the opponent seem bad, homophobic, racist, bigoted, you name it. That's the labels they'll throw because they can't win the actual debates. So he took it up a notch, and here's what he said.
He's been vilifying non-white people. He's been trying to inflame his base and scare them that if, in fact, white people lose control of this country, that they're going to lose control of their lives.
This is just unreal. And I want to give you just a little information, a little ammunition for when you talk to your friends if they bring up this same kind of Democrat tactics, okay? President Trump signed prison reform legislation that was hailed in the black community. Black and Hispanic unemployment are at historic lows, and just this week, the president signed an executive order to help fund historically black colleges and universities. This is what the president's doing. His approval in the black community continues to go up. It's at historic highs, and the Democrats throw out this same kind of language over and over again, the same tactics, because, again, they cannot win in actual debates. They can't do it. They don't have the policies. They don't have the platform to win. They embrace socialism. They embrace far left tactics that have failed, historically failed, universally failed, and yet they keep doing it, and they want to impose it on the American people, like Joe Biden, wiping out hundreds of thousands of jobs to push a left-wing agenda. It just makes no sense. So next, I want to give you an update on a court ruling on Obamacare that is really significant. If you remember, Democrats took control of the House and the Senate. Obama was president. They rammed through Obamacare. The public didn't want it. Approval ratings were never positive, and not a single Republican voted for it. It was not bipartisan at all, and it's unconstitutional. Okay, Obama put forward an individual mandates forcing you to buy insurance or paying a penalty. All right, that violates the Commerce Clause. You cannot force an American, the federal government cannot force an American into some kind of commerce, some kind of business, some kind of transaction. But it passed the Supreme Court because through the help of Chief Justice John Roberts said, oh, it's not commerce. We're going to phrase it as, think of it as a tax. And boom, it's in there. Well, now that notion is being challenged. And here's a report from the New York Post. A federal appeals court on Wednesday struck down a central pillar of Obamacare, ruling that the requirement that people have health care is unconstitutional. The court has now punted back to a lower court the decision on whether the rest of President Barack Obama's landmark healthcare program, officially known as the Affordable Care Act, that's a joke, should remain intact. The individual mandate is unconstitutional because it can no longer be read as a tax, and there is no other constitutional provision that justifies this exercise of congressional power, the ruling stated. So basically, the scenery has changed, and this court is no longer considering the individual mandate as a tax. Okay, if it's not considered a tax, then it's considered commerce, and that's unconstitutional. And here's more. President Trump lauded the ruling. Today's decision in Texas versus Azar is a win for all Americans and confirms what I have said all along, that the individual mandate, by far the worst element of Obamacare, is unconstitutional, Trump said in a statement. This decision will not alter the current healthcare system. My administration continues to work to provide access to high-quality healthcare at a price you can afford while strongly protecting those with pre-existing conditions. The radical healthcare changes being proposed by the far left would strip Americans of their current coverage. I will not let this happen. Providing affordable, high-quality healthcare will always be my priority. So maybe if we can take back the House with a good batch of new conservatives, then President Trump can actually repeal Obamacare like he wanted to during the first go-around when we controlled the House and Senate. We'll see how things go for 2020, but I would love to see that if the Republicans can regain control of the House. So next, I want to end with a segment. It's not Relaxed Brain, although this definitely fits in there, but you could actually call this signs that you know the world is coming to an end, because there's outrageous things going on that defy logic, that defy common sense, and they're going on right now. So first, example number one, we have a dude that is suing the Miss USA pageant because he wants to compete, okay? And the Miss USA pageant is only open to women, biological women, not dudes who think they're women, not men who pretend to be women, but actual women. He's suing. Here's a report from the Washington Times. An Oregon transgender woman is suing Miss USA pageants, saying that the rule that limits competition to natural-born female is a form of gender discrimination. The Oregonian Oregon Live reports Anita Green of Clackamas, Oregon, holds the title of 2019 Miss Earth Elite Oregon and competed in the 2018 Miss Montana contest. She applied to participate in the Miss United States of America pageant last year, but her application was rejected. This policy is discriminatory because it denied her the full and equal advantages and privileges of the defendant's services in violation of Oregon's public accommodations law, the lawsuit states. So just a side note, I'm using the Washington Times. I love that source. It's a great news source. You guys should check it out. But this story is actually on their site from the Associated Press. The Associated Press does their typical wording of referring to this guy as she or her, and it just confuses the whole thing. This is a biological male they're talking about, wanting to compete in the Miss USA pageant. Here's more from the Washington Times. It says, though the Nevada-based pageant is a private business, the suit contends that the way it operates requires it to follow Oregon public accommodation law. The suit asks the judge to order Miss United States of America pageants to end its alleged discriminatory policy and remove its restriction that prevents transgender candidates from competing. All right, so that was Miss USA pageant. Now I want to go quickly to example number 2, which is the ACLU. All right, they want to mandate that feminine hygiene products, tampon dispensers, be put in men's restrooms because men have periods too. And there's just not enough dispensers in general, but particularly in men's restrooms where men need it for their periods. Here's a report from Fox News. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, is calling for men's restrooms to include tampons in order to prevent discrimination against every person who menstruates. While free menstrual products are not uniformly provided in women's restrooms, they are almost never available in men's restrooms, even for pay, the group said in a statement. Men's restrooms are also less likely to have a place to dispose of these products conveniently, privately, and hygienically. What? In that statement, you know what the part that cracks me up the most is? Not that they're lamenting that feminine hygiene products, tampon dispensers aren't available in women's restrooms. It's the fact that they lament that they're almost never available in men's restrooms. Why do you think that's the case? Because they're men. It's just bizarre. And here's more from Fox News. It says, the left-leaning legal group argued that it wasn't a full or accurate portrayal to say that women are the only ones who menstruate, get pregnant, or breastfeed. Menstrual stigma and period poverty can hit trans and non-binary people particularly hard. So, women aren't the only ones who can have periods or give birth, according to the New Left, according to the ACLU. This is a sign that the world is about to end. With that, we'll wrap up the show. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Everly. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.